Welcome to QuiltTube number 15. I'm Monique Stevens, your host for today's episode of Quilting with Monique. I am a longtime quilter, going on 35 plus years of quilting, and I like to show some of the different projects that I'm working on and give you a little insight into all of the things that make it enjoyable for me to quilt. So today I'm going to start with one of the quilt tops that I'm working on. It is a 9 patch. So last time I showed you the Beth 9 patch that I had made with the quilt along. So Beth from Yellowstone, MoneikQuilt, did a tutorial on how to make the quilt for the 9 patch quilt that she had over her in one of the Yellowstone episodes. And so this is the Broncos 9 patch. As you can see, I used a Broncos fabric. It's, obviously reversed in the camera today, but the 9 patches go together super fast. They use just about a yard of fabric, a little more for the color that is the 5 versus the 4, but it's a really fun, quick quilt. And so this one I made in about 3 days' time for Matthew's 4th grade teacher. So we always try to do something really nice for the teachers at the end of the year or during Teacher Appreciation Week. And this year we were on vacation this last weekend, so I did not get all the quilts done for Teacher Appreciation Week. So we're going to do it closer to the end of the year. And so the Broncos one, he assures me that his teacher is a huge Broncos fan. I'm not sure if she is or not, because maybe she's just, feeding into his love of football. But he tells me that she would really love a Broncos quilt, Mom. So that's the quilt that I made for her. Like I said, it's called the Beth quilt. It's on the MoneikQuilts tutorial blog site, and they use the MoneikQuilt dies. I just used strip sets. So I did 3 stratas of the blue and orange, and then 2 stratas of the orange and blue. And that seemed to be really fast and easy. I cut them with my strip ology ruler, so 2.5-inch strips, super fast, super easy, and that makes it a quick quilt. This is the 3rd one I have made within the last 2 months, and they are the fastest quilt ever. Do I enjoy making the same quilt over and over? Not necessarily, but I also know what it's going to look like, and I know how big it's approximately going to turn out. So this one is about 52 by 64, and it makes it just the right size for just a throw quilt. So that top is done. I'm hoping to get out to my dad's this weekend to get it quilted so that I can give it to her relatively soon. Michaela's teacher, she chose one of her teachers, which is her math teacher that she absolutely loves, and is also her EI teacher, which is enrichment instruction. And so we're going to give that to her, and it has X's on it, which I think is exactly perfect for a math teacher to get a quilt with X's, which could be seen as the time symbol. So something that I'm excited about there. It is made with the Nova fabric line, and so Nova is a rather old line. I would say probably 3 years maybe old now. And I saw this Bargello quilt with 5-inch strips, and so I decided I was going to make it. So this is the top side of my Bargello, and this is the bottom side of the Bargello, and I think it's going to turn out really cute. I love this Nova fabric, and again, kind of figuring out what the gradation was going to be, and then making sure that none of the patterns matched, or we're right next to each other. So these oval pieces are not next to each other. The triangle pieces are not next to each other. So I kind of separated them all apart. So I have 2 of these strip sets, and it's going to make one quilt that's about 50 by 70. I did add 1 extra strip to what the pattern said, just because I had it and I wanted to ease the color transition. So we'll see how that turns out. But that's something that I am working on. I don't have anyone in mind per se, but I just love the fabrics and I really think it's pretty. And so I'm going to work on that one when I have time. The other quilt that I am really strongly making right now is called the Wolf quilt, and it is a baby quilt. This is more of a turquoise color. It's really making it look blue in the video, but it's really a dark teal color. And then the background is all gray, and it's going to have some white birch trees in it that have some gray and teal to break them up. So I have the trees all completed, and now tonight I'm just going to put them all together. So that's a baby quilt that I'm working on for a customer. And she also wanted me to make her a gnome quilt. So this is what the gnome picture looks like. You can see on the back kind of how it could look with different fabrics. And so I chose to do this Nantucket summer line from Moda, and it is by Bonnie and Camille. It's just a really pretty blues, greens. She said periwinkle. I was really struggling with periwinkle, and so when I found these colors, I'm like, oh, this would be gorgeous. So I'm gonna make the baby. It's not a baby quilt. It's like a large throw out of that one. And then my niece is graduating from 8th grade, and in Phillip they do an actual graduation ceremony, which is next week. I am behind, but she knows that. And so she asked for teals. So I pulled some grunge teals, and then I have a few more in my stash that I'm going to pull. And I'm going to go with an all teal and gray quilt. So I'm really excited about making that for her. I asked her to pick the pattern, and then I'm going to make it in the colors that she enjoys. So then my haul, which I haven't been buying a whole lot other than a few minky backs to finish things. I really have been pretty good in the last couple weeks. But just before we went on vacation, there was a sale at RSD Designs, so shoprsd.com, for their last chance sale. And I needed a new wallet. Mine is really worn out. This is one of my favorite fabric lines. It's called Amethyst. And so I ended up getting myself a new wallet because mine is just very worn out. And then when we were in Kansas City this weekend, going to the NASCAR race, we went to Quilting is My Therapy, Angela Walters' shop in Liberty, Missouri. It's just on the northeast side of Kansas City. And it's such a beautiful, quaint little shop downtown. You know, there's a fountain nearby, and there's all these little boutique type shops. It's kind of the old Main Street. There's one-way streets. It's just awesome to go. You can see a picture on my Instagram, Quilt Monique, of me in a Quilting is My Therapy shirt in front of the Quilting is My Therapy shop, which was really fun. But I got a new shirt because, of course, I've been wearing that one for several years, and so ended up getting this new one. She had a pattern for a ruler keeper. As you know, many of her quilting patterns are done with ruler work, and so I really struggled to keep those rulers where they need to be, and so I ended up picking up the ruler keeper pattern, and I'm going to make this for all those rulers that she has designed. I also picked up some English paper piecing plastic templates. I have been doing a lot of EPP, and I'm starting the Queen of Diamonds block of the month, and so I was like, I'm I'm going to get these plastic EPP. I prefer paper, I prefer glue, but sometimes it's really nice to have the plastic that are reusable. So I picked these up. This was something new I hadn't seen before. And then the other thing that I picked up was her line of fabric. I think it's called Luminous, and it's kind of got colors. Yeah, it's called Luminous, but it's got the diamond shapes that are just so gorgeous, and it's a variegated color one. So I got this piece and I got this piece, and I would have gotten a yard of each, but I looked at the price and it was $20 a yard, and I didn't want to spend $40 on 2 yards of fabric. So I got these 2 half-yard cuts, and I'm going to use them to make the Lazy Girl pattern that Jaybird Quilts is doing a sew along right now for that pattern. And I really wasn't sure I wanted to make the pattern, but I bought the pattern, and I'm going to do the sew along. I may be a little bit late just because I want to get some of these customer quilts made up. But I'm going to use that fabric and make a special bag to showcase our trip to Kansas City. So that was kind of a fun adventure. The quilt behind me is hanging in my office, and it is one that we pieced at the sewing center. It's all batiks, and then it has a black batik background. And I used a kind of a wild and crazy colored batik for the backing. And so this is just a throw quilt that typically sits on the back of the couch, or sometimes hangs on the wall. And today I have included it on the wall in my office, kind of as a summer vibe quilt. So those are the things that I'm currently working on. It feels like I have a lot going on, and there's a lot of other things I need to be doing. If you remember last episode, I made this star quilt for one of our instructors. She did finish her doctorate, and I'm working on a star quilt for her as a graduation present. But again, not a priority right now, and so I have to kind of manage. I have deadlines for a couple of these things. I won't see the teachers after the end of May, so I need to get those done first. She's going to be a new instructor full-time with me, so if I give it to her at the beginning of the school year, that'll be fine. My other colleague is now Dr. Lake, and I'm super excited for her as well. She was hired full-time as well. So I have 2 new colleagues, both receiving their doctorates this year, and they will be teaching in our counseling program in Rapid City. And so Dr. Lake will get a quilt too. What that is, I'm not sure. I'm still determining what that's going to look like. So those are the kind of things that are happening in my world. We did take a trip to the NASCAR race in Kansas City this weekend, and we have several trips planned to Sioux Falls to go to Huset's to the races there. So those are some exciting opportunities for us, and really looking forward to being able to look at a few quilt shops in those areas when I'm on that side of the state. So again, Monique Quilts, and if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's Quilt Monique, and I am a prolific quilter in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I teach classes at the Sewing Center, which is in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I blog at moneik.blogspot.com. My name is Moneik, Monique.blogspot.com, or you can catch me on Instagram, where I do share a lot of the work that I'm doing and all of the fun quilting projects that I have started and continue to make. So thanks for joining me today on episode 15 of MoneikQuilts Quilt Tube. Have a great weekend. Thanks.